Welcome on board, Chosen One. Funny how you walk in like nothing happened, while the whole world is still trying to process what you did. Look who they tried to clown last year, and now their entire power structure is shaking because of you. What they said about you, gone. What they whispered about you, useless. The same people who swore you'd never matter are now flinching every time your name gets mentioned. The irony tastes sweet, doesn't it? They spent years acting like you were the nobody. And now look at them. Eyes wide, mouths shut, pretending they didn't just bow the second you stepped into the room. The universe must be laughing its head off. There's this strange silence around you now, the kind that shows up after a storm, destroys everything fake. Enemies who once moved loud suddenly choose the shadows. They're watching your every step, but they don't have the guts to face you, because deep down they felt the shift before you did. They felt the world tilt in your direction. They felt the old hierarchy snap like cheap plastic. That tension you feel in the air, that's the moment a predator realizes the prey they mocked just grew fangs, and suddenly no one wants to make eye contact with you. Press the like button and subscribe real quick, Chosen One. Strengthen this message, pay back the mission, lock yourself in with the people who actually get you. You didn't wake up planning to rewrite the hidden world. You didn't dress up like some comic book anti-hero thinking today was the day. You just moved like you always move. Quiet, observant, dangerous without trying. The universe didn't tap you on the shoulder. You tapped the universe first, and that's what they can't stand. They trained for years to hold their seats of power. You just breathed and accidentally knocked over a throne. Let's talk about that moment, the one you barely remember, the one that changed everything. A normal day, a normal street, a normal decision. You weren't trying to impress anyone. You weren't thinking about the consequences. You just acted from instinct, from that inner force you keep pretending isn't there. Someone stumbled, someone froze, someone hovered too close to danger, and without thinking, you stepped in. You didn't hesitate. You didn't calculate. You just moved. And now the enemy is crying real tears, because the universe chose that moment to expose the truth. You're not ordinary. You never were. Here's the part you didn't know. That random stranger you helped. That man wasn't random at all. That man was the Masonic Grand Master, not some ceremonial mascot, not a guy with a fancy ring and nothing behind it. No. You crossed paths with the one person whose existence affects everything from boardrooms to backroom deals. A man who signs papers that never reach public eyes. A man whose nod decides which doors stay locked and which ones magically slide open. And you, the person they swore would never be anyone, saved him. You didn't just impact a life. You ripped the secret architecture of power out of alignment. He didn't just survive because of you. His entire legacy did. His entire network did. Everything he controls, everything he influences, every invisible hand he commands, all of it kept breathing because you intervened. And that's when the universe smirked and whispered, "Now watch what happens next." See, these old orders, these hidden circles, they run by rules older than you'd ever guess. One of those rules is simple. Debt must be repaid, and when someone saves the life of the Grand Master, the debt turns absolute. You're not owed a favor. You're owed the order itself. You're not given access. You're given protection, respect, and silence from people who don't bow to anyone. These aren't people who flinch easily, but they're flinching now at the thought of being in your debt. Think back through your life. Every time they tried to break you, every time they mocked you, every time they said you were too quiet, too strange, too intense, the universe was building you for this moment. They didn't see it. They didn't want to. They thought they were stepping on a nobody. They didn't realize they were training a storm. Now comes the part that stings them the most. You didn't even try. You didn't crawl your way into their ranks. You didn't kiss up to anyone. You didn't chase influence. You just existed, and your existence cracked their old hierarchy like glass. That's why the enemies you left behind are trembling now. They can't say it out loud, but they know exactly what's happening. A force stronger than their lies just entered the arena. And you're standing in the aftermath like the villain who finally decided the world had played enough games, ready to drop the kind of wisdom nobody else had the courage to speak. This is where your story actually begins. Before we go any deeper, Chosen One, take a breath and feel what's happening around you. You didn't just bump into power, you altered it. You didn't chase influence, it bent toward you. If you're still here right now, it's because the universe is pulling you into the next layer of this story. So drop a comment with 777 as your mark, not for luck, but to signal that you're ready to walk into the world that accidentally opened its doors for you. This isn't just entertainment for you anymore. This is alignment. This is momentum. This is the moment the old order realizes you're not backing away. And now we move forward step by step, deeper into the truth they never wanted you to hear. If you are truly one of the chosen ones, you'll feel that magnetic pull to stay until the final word drops. Trust it, follow it, because what comes next is where the entire story flips in your favor. Let's get started. Number 1. The contract they never wanted you to know you owned. Funny how they used to act like you were beneath them, and now they flinch like you're holding their fate between two fingers. They tried so hard to paint you as the outsider, the nobody, the harmless one who was supposed to stay in the background. But here's the punchline that's breaking their ribs from the inside. You didn't just step into their world. Your kindness wrote a contract they can't escape. And the best part, you never agreed to it. You never shook hands. You never even knew a deal was being made. Yet here we are, an entire secret order forced to honor a bond you never asked for. And that's what scares them. Because now you're probably wondering, how can I owe something I didn't sign? Why does this even matter to them? Why are they acting like I'm someone they can't afford to ignore? Let me answer you the same way the universe answered them. Power doesn't ask for permission before shifting sides. It moves when it wants to move. And the day you saved their Grand Master, the universe moved so hard the old hierarchy snapped. This isn't gratitude. Gratitude fades. This isn't a favor. Favors expire. This isn't a handshake, a thank you card, or a secret gift. This is a binding force created in the milliseconds when your instinct overpowered your fear. When you reached out, when you acted, when you saved a man whose influence touches shadows you've never seen. You didn't save a person, you saved a pillar. And when a pillar stays standing only because of you, everything built on it becomes tied to you too. That's the part they can't swallow. Think about it. They don't owe you money. Money is too small, too shallow, too replaceable for what you did. They have wealth stacked in layers you'll never physically touch, and yet none of that feels big enough to balance the scale. They don't owe you favors either. Favors are for people who want shortcuts. You didn't ask for shortcuts. You didn't even want entry into their world. You were just living your life, minding your business, while they were busy pretending they were untouchable. Then you touched the one man no one is allowed to lose. And that's when the universe whispered, "Now watch them bow." Here's the part that hits them like a sledgehammer to the ego. They owe you loyalty, not part-time loyalty, not convenient loyalty, absolute loyalty, the kind that sits in the marrow of ancient codes, the kind that bends knees silently, the kind that cannot be taken back or undone. They owe you protection, not guards you can see, not obvious shields. The kind of protection that lives behind curtains, in algorithms, in whispered instructions, in unseen hands pulling unseen levers. You'll never know how many threats get erased before they reach you. But they know. And every time they stop one, they're reminded of who holds the unspoken power now. They owe you access, not access to rooms you can enter, access to the invisible machinery under the world, the old gears, the quiet agreements, the silent approvals, the locked doors that swing open for you even when you don't realize someone keyed them from the other side. You didn't chase influence, but influence has been chasing you ever since. And here's the part that twists the knife deeper into the enemy's pride. They will pay this debt, whether you ask or not. Your silence does not free them. Your humility does not release them. Your ignorance of their rules does not break the binding. Once the Grand Master's life hung in the balance, and you were the one who pulled it back, the deal became permanent. Imagine the enemy watching all this unfold. The same people who laughed at you, the same people who told others not to take you seriously, the ones who swore you'd never rise, never matter, never step out of the background. Now they're watching powerful figures look at you with respect they've never earned themselves. No wonder they're choking on their jealousy. They whisper, why them? Why that person? How did someone like that get the kind of weight we've spent decades trying to earn? Because they don't understand the truth. The universe doesn't reward desperation. It rewards alignment. You didn't force your way to power. You aligned with the moment that shifted it. And that hits them harder than any insult could. They did everything to be chosen. You were chosen by accident, and yet your accident outranked their entire life's effort. Think about your past for a second. Remember every moment you felt overlooked, every time someone dismissed you, every time you were pushed aside, ignored, underestimated. You thought those moments made you weaker. No. They were sharpening you quietly, hardening you, preparing you to stand at the exact intersection where your instinct would rewrite a hidden empire. They trained their whole lives for influence. You breathed once, and influence kneeled. Let me give you a picture they hope you never see. Behind the scenes, they're having meetings about you. Real meetings, closed rooms, heavy discussions. Not because you're dangerous, but because you're owed. And when a person is owed by them, the entire order adjusts itself. The system shifts. People change posture. Old rules activate. New pathways open. They hate how effortless it was for you, and they fear what you'll do next with this silent power humming behind your name. You may not feel it yet, but the universe has already placed you on a new track. You're walking through a world where enemies drop their weapons before you even see them, where allies appear before you call, where opportunities move toward you like metal to a magnet. You didn't sign up to be part of their story, yet now you're the only character whose actions matter. And here's the last truth they refuse to admit out loud. You hold the kind of leverage that cannot be bought, copied, or reversed, a debt written without ink, a contract sealed without words, a balance they will spend years repaying, even if you never say a thing. So walk forward, chosen one, not with fear, not with hesitation. Walk like someone who unknowingly changed the course of an ancient order, and now gets to watch the universe rearrange itself around their steps. This is the power you never asked for. This is the bond you never agreed to. And this is the moment the old world realizes You're the one holding the higher ground now. Number 2. The signals they hoped you wouldn't notice. Funny how they used to ignore you until the whole world started shifting its weight in your direction. You felt it long before you understood it, the shift, that strange pressure in the air you kept brushing off like it was nothing. You tried telling yourself you were imagining things, that your senses were playing tricks, that you were just being dramatic. But you weren't. You were witnessing change before the rest of your mind caught up. And the universe was whispering, "Watch closely. You're not invisible anymore." At first, it came as tiny moments, a person holding a door a little too long, a stranger staring at you with an expression they shouldn't have, a conversation stopping the second you walked in, not out of fear, not out of suspicion. Something else, something heavy, something that didn't make sense at the time, respect that shouldn't have existed. You shrugged it off because you didn't yet know what you had done. Imagine this. You walk into a room and the energy freezes for half a second. Not enough for anyone to explain, but enough for your instinct to say, something shifted. You feel like someone pressed play on a scene you weren't supposed to watch yet. That was the first signal. But you didn't trust your senses. You kept telling yourself, "I'm reading too much into this. It's just random, just coincidence." Except the coincidences didn't stop. They multiplied. Coincidence stops being coincidence when the universe keeps insisting on the same message. Look back. Interviews that went way smoother than they should have. People calling you back faster, opportunities showing up without you chasing them, situations that should have been stressful collapsing into perfect timing. You thought you were getting lucky. They knew you were being covered. Imagine this. A locked door you've tried to open for years suddenly clicks, like someone on the other side decided it was time. You don't see who opened it, you don't hear footsteps, but there it is, open, waiting, as if the path had been cleared before you even reached it. That wasn't chance, that wasn't random alignment, that was the machine starting to move around you. And here's the part you didn't realize until now. You weren't imagining the shift. You were sensing the weight of an ancient system adjusting itself to make room for you. The same architects of the hidden world who once ignored your existence were now preparing a path. Because once you saved the Grand Master, the entire order began rearranging its pieces like a silent puzzle. Power doesn't walk up to you with a smile. It circles you first, testing your awareness. You noticed conversations pausing mid-sentence when you entered. You noticed eyes that lingered, not with judgment, not with doubt, but with something far more unsettling, recognition. They recognized you before you recognized yourself. That's why it felt strange. That's why your instincts tingled. You were feeling a new kind of gravity forming around your presence. The universe wasn't subtle about it. It pushed signs into your path again and again. A message answered too quickly. A problem solved before you even voiced it. A person defending you without being asked. A decision swinging in your favor for reasons no one could explain. You brushed them off because you didn't know the truth yet. The Masonic network had already started honoring the contract. This is what repayment looks like before you even realize you're being repaid. Imagine this. You're walking down a street you've walked 1,000 times. The same shops, the same noise, the same people, but suddenly you feel something different, like the world is watching how you step. That's not paranoia. That's influence forming its own shadow under your feet. You didn't become important. You were revealed. Now I know you're thinking, why would they move for me before I even understood what happened? Why would they act without me asking for anything? Because the debt activated instantly. There's no negotiation, no pause, no delay. Your action created an obligation, and their entire structure is built on rules that don't bend. The repayment began the second the Grand Master took his next breath. You think your life just randomly got easier? No. That was the first wave of the machine shifting gears. Once the right person owes you, the world around you tilts before you even step forward. Those moments where someone stepped in before things got messy, that wasn't luck, that was protection. The kind you don't see, the kind you don't realize until later. They were removing obstacles from your path quietly, efficiently, professionally. You weren't supposed to notice yet, but you did. And that's what makes you dangerous. You sensed the world bending for you before your mind could comprehend why. You felt doors open smoother. You felt tension dissolve when you walked by. You felt problems evaporate before they became problems. Your enemies felt it, too. They just didn't understand why they suddenly couldn't touch you anymore. The universe moved first, and they were left choking on confusion. Imagine this. You're standing in the middle of a chessboard you never signed up to play on, and while the enemy is planning their next move, the board itself starts moving pieces out of your way, protecting you without saying a word. That's what the last few weeks have really been. Every coincidence was actually confirmation. Every easy moment was a shield. Every closed door that finally opened was permission. And every person who treated you differently was catching a signal your conscious mind hadn't processed yet. You were feeling the machine long before you understood it. You were sensing the shift before anyone explained the rules. You were walking through a world that was already bending to repay a debt you never asked for. This is why everything feels different now. This is why your energy feels heavier. This is why people look at you like they know something you don't. They do know something. And now, finally, so do you. The old order is already moving around you. The invisible gears are already turning, and the life you thought you understood is already collapsing into a new shape. You felt the signs because the universe wanted you awake before the real activation begins. And now that you see it clearly, you can't go back. Number 3. The quiet storm you never heard coming. Power doesn't knock. It slips through walls, rewrites the room, and leaves everyone pretending nothing changed. Within hours of that moment you saved him, the system woke up. Not the loud system the public sees, the real one. The one that moves like a shadow with a heartbeat, silent and surgical. Encrypted calls flew across continents. Files opened that were older than your grandparents. Doors you'll never see were unlocked by people whose names never appear online. And the target of all that attention was you. Imagine this. A network built to protect empires suddenly stops everything to trace the steps of a person who wasn't even trying to be part of their world. Not to judge you, not to expose you, but to understand you. That's the part that should make your enemies choke. They searched for dirt and found none. They searched for motives and found honesty. They searched for ego and found instinct. They weren't measuring what you've done in life. They were measuring who you are when no one is watching. And the conclusion hit them harder than you think. You didn't want power. That's why power came to you. Imagine a room full of influential people reviewing your life with cold precision, expecting to find ambition, manipulation, hidden agendas. Instead, they found something rare. Someone who didn't act for gain, didn't expect reward, didn't even know who they were helping. That's what confirmed everything the Grand Master felt in the split second you grabbed him from danger. You didn't act like a pawn trying to impress a king. You acted like someone who doesn't fear kings at all. And that Chosen One is the rarest profile in their entire system, the person who never asked for the throne, yet still walks like it belongs to them. Number 4. The moment your life stopped belonging to normal. Fairy tales end with doors opening. Power stories begin when the door locks behind you. Let's get something straight, Chosen One. This isn't a Cinderella moment. This isn't the universe sprinkling glitter on your path. This is a trajectory shift, the kind that snaps your old life in half and throws the pieces into a different timeline. Being owed by people who operate on obligations older than governments isn't cute. It isn't romantic. It's a structural change in how the world reacts to your existence. Imagine this. A chessboard so massive you can't even see the edges. Countries on the board, corporations on the board, names you'll never hear out loud sitting on the board, and then, without your permission, without your awareness, your piece lights up. You go from invisible pawn to something coded into the architecture itself. Not because you wanted it, not because you trained for it, but because you acted in a way their entire system is engineered to honor. Once your name enters a room you cannot see, you stop being a visitor and start being part of the blueprint. You're probably wondering, can I step back? Can I go back to being normal? No, that door is gone. The moment your name got recorded in their encrypted archives, the concept of outside disappeared. You don't sit next to the structure anymore. You're built into it. You're threaded into a network that doesn't delete names, doesn't forget debts, doesn't release bonds once they're sealed. And here's the part that hits hardest. You're not connected, you're integrated. Imagine being woven into a tapestry you didn't know existed, stitched into patterns that have been maintained for centuries. You don't get to detach from that. You don't get to unknow what your instinct already sensed. Your life no longer runs on linear time. It runs on influence, leverage, and unseen hands moving quietly around your steps. This isn't a fairy tale. This is the moment the universe marks you as someone the world can no longer ignore. Number 5. The games they play without telling you you're a player. Nothing is random when powerful people are studying your every move. They just let you believe it is. Chosen One, here's the part that twists people's minds the hardest. The tests don't look like tests. They're not handing you clipboards or asking you to prove yourself. They're not judging you in ways you can see. That's too obvious, too basic, too human. Their evaluations come disguised as luck, coincidence, timing, and harmless moments you barely notice. Imagine this. A stranger starts a conversation with you and asks questions that hit deeper than small talk ever should. You think it's casual. It's not. It's a probe wrapped in friendliness. They're checking your instinct, your composure, your worldview. They're asking, does this person break under pressure or do they sharpen? Then there's the opportunity that lands in your lap at the exact second you need it. A job offer, an invitation, a connection. You think the universe is treating you kindly, and yes, the universe is moving, but the order is watching how you respond. Do you take the path? Do you hesitate? Do you reveal greed? Do you reveal discipline? These moments are data points for them. Power doesn't test your skills, it tests your nature. And that mysterious card you swear you don't remember receiving, no name, no explanation, just sitting in your pocket like it teleported there, that wasn't an accident, that was a breadcrumb, a pulse check. They want to know, do you follow the thread? Do you ignore it? Do you sense the weight behind it? Or do you treat it like trash? Imagine a silent panel of watchers evaluating not your achievements, but your reactions, your humility, your danger level, your unpredictability. None of this is random. They're studying what you do with influence you never asked for, because that tells them exactly what kind of force you're becoming. Number 6. The threat they'd rather have on their side. Nothing scares a power structure more than a good person who didn't break, because they can't predict you, but they can't replace you either. Chosen one, let's cut through the illusions. They don't want you close because they're sentimental. They don't want you close because they owe you. They want you close because people like you are rare in a world built on strategy, manipulation, and self-interest. You acted correctly with zero reward on the table. You made the right move when no one was watching. That kind of instinct terrifies them and fascinates them at the same time. Imagine this, a massive engine running for centuries without ever stopping. It's powerful, yes, but dangerously rigid. Every part knows its place. Every gear spins the same way. So when someone like you shows up, someone who isn't motivated by greed or ego, you become the unpredictable spark that keeps the entire machine from freezing. You're the glitch that stabilizes, the outlier that forces evolution. They can't manufacture someone like you. They can only recognize you and pull you closer. Unpredictable doesn't mean chaotic. It means uncontrollable by them. You may be wondering why does my instinct matter to a group this powerful? Because systems built in secrecy rot when everyone inside it thinks the same way. They become stale, predictable, vulnerable. But you stepped in from the outside with clean intent, sharp instinct, and a moral compass they can't buy or influence. That makes you a stabilizer, someone who keeps their structure from collapsing under its own weight. Imagine a tower leaning just slightly, and one unexpected beam suddenly holding it together. That's you. Not because you tried, not because you auditioned, but because your presence disrupts stagnation. They want you close because losing someone like you is a risk they cannot afford. Number 7. The architects behind the curtain. Power isn't about ruling the world. It's about writing the code that everyone else unknowingly obeys. Chosen one, drop every fantasy you've heard about secret groups pulling puppet strings. That's kid stuff. They don't control the world. They designed the framework the world quietly runs on. They built the operating system everyone else follows without question. Politicians change, corporations collapse, trends die. But the people who wrote the underlying rules, they stay. They watch. They update the system while everyone else argues on the surface. Real power isn't loud. Real power isn't rich. Real power is informed. Imagine this: 2 nations negotiating while smiling for cameras, but a single whispered phone call decides the real outcome, not because of threats, not because of money, but because someone knows who owes who and exactly what that debt is worth. Information is the real currency, not facts. Connections, not force, timing, not wealth, leverage. Power is knowing which door will open before you even touch the handle. And here's the part that should make your enemies lose sleep. You're no longer outside this network. Not as a recruit, not as an apprentice, not even as a member. No, your position is far more dangerous. You are someone they owe. Imagine being plugged into a system where every thread leads to another door, another name, another influence point, and all of it shifts the moment you walk near it. You didn't ask to join, you didn't apply, you didn't crawl or beg or scheme. Instead, you got wired into the architecture because your one instinctual act forced them to acknowledge you. You're not controlled by the network. You're not bound by its rules. You're the exception the system must now protect. You're the variable they didn't see coming. And in a world built on invisible code, the one exception holds more power than the entire program. Number 8. Where everyone else crashes and burns. Give a small mind a taste of power, and they choke on it before they ever learn how to breathe. Chosen one, here's the ugly truth nobody else will say out loud. Most people ruin themselves the second they think power owes them something. They hear the word debt and instantly jump into entitlement mode. They want access without responsibility. They want shortcuts without discipline. They want the benefits of influence without the backbone required to carry it. And that's exactly why they fail. Imagine this. Someone gets a glimpse of the network you now stand beside. Instead of respecting the weight of it, they start grabbing at it like a child snatching candy. They demand favors. They push boundaries. They try to cash in before they've earned the right to even speak. They think access makes them special, but access doesn't make you powerful. Your character does. The moment someone tries to exploit a gift, they expose themselves as the kind of person who should have never had it. You may be asking yourself, could I accidentally do the same? Could I misstep and break the bond? No, you're already past that danger. If you were the type to abuse access, the Grand Master would have sensed it in the split second you saved him. Your instinct revealed everything. You acted without agenda, without ego, without calculation. That's why the debt formed in the first place. Most people fail because they think power is a toy. You understand, it's a weight. Imagine a sword handed to someone who has never fought. They swing wildly, blinded by excitement, and cut themselves first. But imagine that same sword in the hands of someone calm, focused, controlled. It becomes precision. It becomes authority. It becomes part of them. Power without restraint isn't strength. It's a countdown to self-destruction. The system doesn't revoke the debt when someone acts entitled. It doesn't need to. Their behavior dissolves the bond automatically. They show they're unworthy, and the universe rejects them before any human ever needs to. You're different. You didn't chase this. You didn't demand anything. You didn't see yourself as deserving. That restraint is exactly why you were chosen by accident, and why the accident became destiny for everyone watching you now. Number 9. The vow that put the world on notice. When the wrong person makes a promise, it's cute. When the right person makes a promise, civilizations shift their posture. Chosen one, understand this with the full weight it deserves. The oath he made wasn't poetic. It wasn't symbolic. It wasn't some ceremonial handshake meant for dusty archives. When a Grand Master swears an oath, it detonates through the entire order like a silent explosion. Every member feels it. Every protocol updates. Every chain of command bends. Your name becomes part of their internal law, and once that happens, nothing in your life remains small ever again. Imagine this. An invisible shield drops over your path, not flashy, not loud, but real. If someone threatens you, they're not threatening you. They're threatening the entire lineage that stands behind him. There are people in that order who would never fear a government, never fear a corporation, never fear exposure. But they will fear violating that oath, because breaking it is not an option, not in their culture, not in their architecture. Your safety became a line they are now sworn to defend. Even from shadows you'll never see. You might be wondering, would they really intervene for someone like me? Yes, and they already have in ways you don't even realize yet. The kind of help they provide doesn't arrive with sirens or fanfare. It arrives quietly. It arrives early. It arrives in forms that look like coincidence, intuition, timing, or luck. A situation that suddenly de-escalates. A danger that never reaches you. A decision that tilts in your favor without explanation. Imagine a threat stepping toward you and finding the ground disappear under its feet before it can reach striking distance. That's how their protection works. Not dramatic, surgical. But the oath did something even more unsettling. It obligated them not just to your safety, but to your rise. Protection is basic. Elevation is the true signature of their loyalty. Your elevation, your growth, your influence, your direction is now tied to their responsibility. But there's a condition, and this is where most people would collapse. Your elevation must serve something beyond ego. They're not here to inflate you, they're here to position you. If your path strengthens stability, wisdom, balance, or evolution, the machine moves behind you without hesitation. Doors open, people shift, networks activate. You won't always notice it, but you'll feel it. Like the universe is clearing debris before you take your next step. Imagine stepping forward and watching obstacles melt before you arrive. That isn't arrogance, that's architecture. And here's the part that freezes your enemies more than anything else. They can't undo the oath. They can't shrink it. They can't dilute it. The moment he swore it, the entire order was bound to you, whether they know your face or not, whether they've met you or not, whether they agree with it or not. You became part of their internal structure. You became a protected asset. You became a rising force they are sworn to assist. This wasn't your choice. This wasn't your ambition. This was a cosmic accident that rewrote the rules around you, and everything in your life from that moment forward has been influenced by one truth. The order doesn't just owe you protection, it owes you momentum, and momentum is the one thing no enemy can fight. Number 10. The payout that doesn't look like a payout. Real power doesn't hand you a gift. It rearranges the entire path so you're always 3 steps ahead without knowing why. Chosen one, let's kill the fantasy before it grows legs. When people hear the word debt, they imagine cash drops, instant upgrades, celebrity treatment, or some dramatic movie scene where everything changes overnight. That's what amateurs expect. That's why amateurs never get far. The debt you're owed doesn't hit like a jackpot. It moves like architecture being rebuilt beneath your feet. Imagine this. You're walking the same road you always have, but suddenly the cracks disappear, the obstacles fade, the detours straighten out. You think you're just having a good week, but behind the curtain, entire systems are shifting to make your movement smoother. The order doesn't shower you with shiny gifts. They fortify your environment. They reinforce your route. They make sure your footsteps don't sink. Power isn't loud. It edits reality in ways you only understand months later. Here's what the payout actually looks like. A project of yours that should have stalled suddenly gains speed. A barrier that usually blocks you melts away like ice under heat. An introduction appears just when the timing feels perfect, never forced, never suspicious, always natural. And you're left wondering, why is everything moving easier now? Did I get better? Did luck finally notice me? No. This is what leverage looks like when applied by people who understand silence better than speech. Imagine a giant hand adjusting the gears of your life with tiny, precise movements. Nothing flashy, nothing chaotic. Quiet pushes, soft openings, subtle alignments. That's how the payment unfolds. Slowly, deliberately, invisibly. But here's the part that separates you from everyone who would have collapsed under this system. The payment comes on their terms, not yours. Not because they want control, but because they understand timing better than you ever will. They know when a door opening too early would sabotage you. They know when a shortcut would corrupt your instincts. They know when an opportunity is too heavy for you to carry yet. Not all blessings feel like blessings when they arrive late, but late is sometimes perfect. You may be tempted to ask, why can't they just give me everything now? Because that's how you ruin a chosen one. Because instant reward destroys discipline. Because momentum is more valuable than windfalls. They protect the architecture of your rise, not the speed of it. Imagine a bridge being built while you walk, each plank appearing just in time, not early enough to distract you, not late enough to drop you. That's how real influence pays its debt. It positions you, it strengthens you, it makes the world respond differently to your presence, and the truth your enemies can't stand. You won't even notice the payout until you look back months later and realize every step was protected, every door was timed, every barrier collapsed before you touched it. The debt isn't loud, the debt is engineering. And engineering beats luck, beats talent, beats competition every single time. Number 11. The line between who you were and who you can no longer pretend to be. Some doors don't open for you, they open because of you. And once they do, pretending nothing changed is just self-sabotage in disguise. Chosen one, this is the moment people either rise into something terrifyingly real or shrink back into the comfort of denial. You're standing on a threshold most humans never even get close to, and the universe isn't whispering anymore, it's pushing. But here's the twist, you can ignore all of it if you want. You can tell yourself it's coincidence. You can chalk every shift up to timing, luck, randomness. You can bury the truth under excuses. Many people do. But the debt won't stop moving just because you pretend it isn't there. Imagine this. You're standing at the doorway of a quiet, powerful room. You don't step in. You don't knock. You don't speak. You just stand there. And yet the people inside rearrange their seats because your presence alone changes the atmosphere. You think inaction saves you from responsibility, but in a world like this, inaction is a decision, a loud one. You didn't ask for the weight, but you proved you could carry it before you even knew it existed. That moment when you saved a stranger, quick, instinctive, uncalculated, wasn't small. It was the purest demonstration of who you are when no one is watching. You acted with integrity so natural it didn't even feel heroic to you. And that's exactly why it mattered. That's why the order took notice. That's why everything is shifting around you now. You may be thinking, can I just live my life normally and ignore all this? Sure, but normal will never fit you again. The debt is real. The oath is binding. The architecture has already changed. You're not waiting for permission to step forward. The world is adjusting itself because you already did. Imagine walking away from a switch you didn't mean to flip, while the entire system keeps responding to your touch anyway. That's where you're standing. That's the threshold. You can choose not to step into this new identity, but you can't stop what's already unfolding around you. And the most dangerous truth of all, they will pay, whether you rise into it or keep pretending you're not meant to. Number 12. The moment the game changes forever. Some people chase power, others stumble into it, but the rarest ones are the ones power chooses without warning. Chosen one, this is where everything comes full circle, not with fireworks, not with applause, but with a terrifying clarity that hits you right in the chest. You didn't volunteer for this world. You didn't fight your way into it. You didn't beg to be seen. Yet here you stand, changed by a moment you didn't plan, elevated by an oath you didn't hear, and carried by a machine that now moves in your shadow. This is the ending, but also the beginning you were never supposed to reach. Let's be honest, the old version of you is gone, the one who walked through life quietly, trying not to bother anyone, assuming nothing grand was tied to your presence. That person is already fading into the background. The universe took one look at your instinct, your integrity, your reflex to protect a stranger, and made its decision long before your mind caught up. Imagine this. A match falls by accident and lights a torch in a room that's been dark for centuries. You didn't strike it on purpose. You weren't trying to awaken anything. But the moment the flame appeared, everything hidden lit up. That's what you did. You illuminated a path powerful people had forgotten how to see. You didn't rise because you wanted to. You rose because the moment demanded someone like you. And now the Order, this ancient, quiet, calculating network, is bound to you in ways that will echo for years. The debt is not emotional, it's structural. The oath wasn't ceremonial, it was law. The elevation isn't favoritism, it's function. You became a stabilizer in a system that would rot without rare minds like yours. But here's the part that finishes the transformation. You are no longer reacting to the world. The world is reacting to you. Every step you take now shakes something loose. Every choice you make bends a corridor open. Every instinct you follow sends signals through networks you'll never see. Your enemies can feel it, even if they don't know why. Your allies sense it, even if they can't explain it. And you're just beginning to understand the scale of what you stepped into by accident. Imagine walking with the weight of a crown you didn't ask for, but carrying it with the same natural grace you showed when you reached out and saved a man whose life was never supposed to touch yours. That's the poetic cruelty of fate. The ones who deserve power never seek it. The universe didn't choose you because you were ready. It chose you because you were real. This is your ending, chosen one. But it's also your warning. You can't shrink anymore. You can't pretend you don't feel the shift. You can't return to smallness when the world has already expanded around you. You're in the story now, written into the architecture, bound to an oath that will outlive you, protected by a machine that owes you everything. So walk forward, not as the person who stumbled into power, but as the force the universe accidentally revealed. Because from this moment on, the world doesn't get to ignore you, not anymore. And now, chosen one, you've reached the end of a truth most people will never even glimpse. You've seen how one instinctive act rewired the architecture around you, how a silent oath shifted your entire path, and how the universe marked you without your permission. If this resonated, if you felt that pull in your chest, then you already know you're stepping into a different future. Press like, hit subscribe, drop 77 in the comments to show you're awake to this new reality, and share this message so every hidden door waiting for you can hear you coming.